They want me to stop throwing the parties, but we're not going to stop enjoying ourselves. Meek Mill recently revealed shocking information to the public, admitting in court that he had an unsettling romance with Diddy that was more twisted than anybody could have anticipated. Meek's startling disclosure and Diddy's legal nightmare. This is Diddy's most recent disaster, because to be honest, the whole situation is mind-boggling. Diddy, the legendary music tycoon who created an empire out of hip-hop, has found himself in a sticky situation. The kicker is that federal agents have been working on this case for months, gathering a staggering amount of evidence, and they raided his homes in Miami and Los Angeles earlier this year. He is not just being accused of small crimes or a few poor decisions. Instead, he is being accused of forced labor and corruption. It sounds like something out of a crime drama, but it's all too real. Digging up enough evidence to create an almost impossible-to-ignore case. Not only have a few victims come forward, but many more are pointing fingers and saying Diddy was the brains behind this twisted criminal enterprise. The weight of these accusations puts Diddy's empire, which included music, fashion, and a lifestyle brand that put him on top of the world, in danger of collapsing. The feds assert that he wasn't only using his connections and authority to further the careers of musicians or earn money, use it to manipulate individuals in the most horrifying ways possible. But in the midst of this legal circus, here is when things truly become crazy. Yes, Meek Mill steps up and drops a bomb that nobody saw coming. You may be familiar with Meek Mill from his music or from the whole Free Meek movement when he was battling for his freedom a few years ago. But nobody saw coming that Meek was going to confess to having a covert relationship with Diddy. With Meek confessing, all eyes were on Diddy and his defense in court. Team as they attempt to defend themselves against these absurd accusations. And then Meek just throws this huge curveball in front of the judge, the jury, and an astounded audience, admitting that he had an affair with Diddy and that there is an unreleased video to support his claims. Meek hinted that this affair was more than just a fling, though the details are vague. His words indicated a darker affair. This revelation was all the more stunning because there was manipulation involved. And it wasn't just about two famous people getting acquainted, there was also a power dynamic at work. The unsettling affair behind closed doors. We already know that Diddy has always been a significant figure in the entertainment industry, not just in music but in general. He has influence, money, connections, you name it. But Meek revealed that Diddy was using his power in more sinister and intimate settings than just the boardroom or studio. It's hard to imagine, right? But Meek Mill's confession in court alluded to something that's been speculated in Hollywood for a while. Diddy isn't just a mogul, but a manipulator wished to influence to control the people around him, even people as famous as Meek. This wasn't your typical mutual affair, based on Meek's claims that Diddy had him wrapped around his finger, pulling strings behind the scenes to keep him in check. Power dynamics may be complex. Despite his fame and success, Meek made it clear that he felt trapped in this relationship. Diddy had an emotional and psychological hold over him in addition to the physical aspects of their affair. Imagine being someone like Meek, who battled his way to the top of the rap game, and then finding yourself in a situation like this. Meek described feeling like he couldn't just walk away, like Diddy had something over him. And that's where things start to get complicated. Really unsettling. Here's the darker side of things in court. It's one thing for two individuals to hook up, but it's quite another when one of them uses control tactics like threats or manipulation to maintain the connection. Meek made vague allusions to things that are difficult to understand, saying that there were times throughout their affair when he felt powerless. He depicted a bleak image of circumstances in which pressure and manipulation force consent to become hazy. What Diddy's private life was like wasn't a passionate relationship. Rather, it was something much more twisted. Meek described how Diddy would get him into circumstances that ended badly. Beyond his comfort zone, Diddy would emotionally manipulate Meek, making him feel as though he owed him something or that ending the relationship would have dire repercussions. Then there was the physical aspect, which Meek made plain without getting into specifics. Another unsettling component of the romance was Diddy's alleged use of their private moments to maintain control over Meek and keep him in line. This is where the unseen video comes into play. This film, which is intended to be very graphic and capture instances when Diddy's power over Meek is brutally evident, depicts some of the most frightening parts of their relationship. Meek is not just spinning tales here, he has proof to support what we've heard. If the video is released, it has the potential to completely alter the situation. What's even more disturbing is how this affair fits into the larger pattern of behavior Diddy is being accused of. It's not just about his relationship with Meek. Other victims have also claimed that Diddy has been using similar manipulation and control techniques to keep them under his control, although Meek may have been the first to discuss it in public. Who knows how many other people have similar stories? The unviewed footage contents. Next is this infamous, unreleased video that has everyone talking. If even half of the rumors surrounding it are accurate, this video could completely alter our understanding of Meek Mill and Diddy's unsettling relationship. It seems like everyone is waiting for the other shoe to drop. And when it does, the entire industry will be rocked. This video is interesting because it's said to hold the key to unlocking the truth. It's not simply a random clip. Underlying the mechanics of power between Meek and Diddy in court, Meek has already revealed some major bombshells, admitting to an affair with Diddy that, although seemingly consensual at first glance, is allegedly shown in a far darker way on the video. It involves more than simply two individuals getting together. It involves manipulation and control. People were shocked by Meek's admissions previously, but this video is meant to provide a concrete treatment of Diddy's dark side, to side that transforms what might have been a scandalous affair into something far more unsettling. Whispers coming out of the courtroom claim that this film, which is being characterized as violent, dramatic, and plain unpleasant to watch, depicts Meek being forced into circumstances over which he had no control. Others claim that the video shows Diddy going too far, crossing boundaries that no one in a voluntary partnership should ever go beyond. Talk has it that Meek was forced into circumstances he obviously wasn't comfortable with, all the while Diddy is said to be make sure the camera is rolling. It seems as though Diddy wanted a record of his dominance over Meek, a trophy of his power, if you will. Rumor has it that Meek is seen emotionally struggling, appearing visibly uncomfortable but feeling trapped. It's this dynamic, the sense of being coerced into something against his will, that adds so much depth to the situation. If this video is released, it will completely blow the lid off everything we're discussing, and could turn the case against Diddy on its head. As of right moment, if this footage is as bad as it sounds, Diddy's defense team will be hard-pressed to maintain the pretense that the incident was a misunderstanding or even consensual bad behavior. This is the kind of evidence that leaves little room for doubt, demonstrating precisely how Diddy allegedly exerted his influence over Meek and others in the courtroom. Prosecutors may be itching to use this video as evidence to support their case that Diddy wasn't just casual participating in these relationships, but that he was using them as a means of control and manipulation. However, this isn't just about the trial. Given how leaks in the entertainment industry operate, if this video becomes public, it will have a profound impact on the whole sector. Diddy has spent decades creating a brand around himself as the biggest entrepreneur in the music industry and an untouchable figure. But once people see this, it will be hard to distinguish the guy from the monster he is becoming. Described as his reputation could be destroyed overnight, and that's not even taking into account the legal ramifications. The public backlash alone could end his career, with partnerships and endorsements dropping him like a hot potato. It's also important to note that this video could inspire others to come forward if there are other people out there who have also been duped by Diddy in similar ways. If they find the courage to share their stories, it can start a chain reaction that can lead to other people speaking out. Further information that may drag Diddy farther into scandal. The fabled empire of Diddy. If you thought Diddy's relationship with Meek Mill was bad, wait until you hear what the feds are claiming about him. This isn't just a few unrelated charges. Rather, it's a comprehensive criminal investigation that's revealing what may be one of the most shocking scandals in entertainment history. The indictment looks like something out of a movie, but sadly, it's real, and what makes it even more unsettling is that it wasn't just a few unrelated charges. Victims speaking out, numerous individuals have come forward to assert that Diddy and his colleagues exploited them. The accusations date back years, and the victims have described Diddy's conduct in which he would entice them with promises of success or celebrity only to trap them. Remember R. Kelly from the entertainment industry? This isn't the first time we've seen prominent individuals charged. And similar to R. Kelly, Diddy is facing a slew of claims that go well beyond basic wrongdoing, and accusations involving males are also being made. So this issue is much more problematic. In this regard, women are not the only ones emerging. It's evident that Diddy wasn't just targeting young women, rather, he was allegedly using his power to control anyone he could, regardless of gender. The victims who have come forward have painted a horrifying picture of what happened. Meek Mill, a powerful figure in his own right, has come forward with his own experiences, which only strengthens the credibility of the other victims. The most terrifying aspect of living under Diddy's control. Prosecutors are taking this seriously and have gathered mountains of evidence, including cell phones, laptops, surveillance footage, and other electronic data that supports the victims' accounts. It's obvious that the government is doing everything in its power to bring Diddy down, and with the weight of a federal indictment behind them, it's only going to get worse. The similarities to other high-profile cases, such as those involving Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, make it difficult for Diddy to escape this one. It appears that Diddy used his influence and power to set up a system, and the fact that so many victims have come forward and their accounts closely match Meek Mill's testimony only serves to bolster the case against Diddy. It's one thing to have a few people accuse you of bad behavior, but when you have dozens of victims all with similar narratives, the victims' testimonies are heartbreaking. And as more information becomes available, it becomes evident that Diddy's influence extended beyond just making hit records to include controlling people's lives in the most horrifying ways possible. This is more than just a legal case, it's a reckoning. Diddy's empire may have been built on music, but if these allegations are true, it was also built on suffering. Fees if found guilty. Diddy may spend the rest of his life in prison. However, this case is about revealing the dark side of one of the biggest names in entertainment. For the victims, it may be an opportunity to finally come forward and tell their stories, holding Diddy accountable for what he's allegedly done. Based on the timeline, you would think that Meek Mill and Diddy had a strictly professional relationship at first, two titans of the music industry rubbing elbows. Chatting deals with elbows following his success in the rap industry, Meek was looking to solidify his place in the industry. Who better to team up with than Diddy, the man who founded Bad Boy Records and helped shape the careers of countless others. It appeared they were working on songs together, but their relationship was much more complicated than a mentor-mentee or business relationship. Artists, it seemed like Meek made a wise decision to work with Diddy because of his connections, experience, and let's face it, influence to help someone advance their career. However, the more time Meek spent with Diddy, the less it seemed like this was just about business. The boundaries between personal and professional life quickly blurred, and Meek began receiving invitations to all of Diddy's private parties, the exclusive get-togethers that everyone talks about, but nobody really attends, really knows what goes on behind closed doors. And Meek claims that's when things behind the scenes began to get odd. Diddy's charisma and power prevented Meek from realizing what was truly going on. He was no longer just another rapper attempting to break out, rather, he was a member of Diddy's inner circle. And once you're in the samaise, particularly when someone as powerful as Diddy holds on to you. Meek has hinted that Diddy's influence over him began subtly but gradually grew more and more. Invitations to parties marked the beginning of a more intense manipulation that quickly turned from friendly to something darker in court. Meek recounted a few pivotal moments when he felt the manipulation truly take hold. Diddy, with his larger-than-life persona, had a way of making people feel as though they had to impress him in order to stay in his favorable graces if they wanted to survive in the industry. Meek spoke about how Diddy would use subtly toned-down threats to remind him that his career was in his hands. Everything Diddy did for you, like connecting you with producers, promoting your projects, or just letting you into his world, came with a price, and that price turned out to be much more personal than Meek had ever known. With me, you'll go far, or you don't want to end up like the others who crossed me right. It wasn't just words either. Meek started noticing how Diddy operated, especially when it came to controlling the people around him. It was obvious that Diddy was using his power and influence to manipulate Meek into things that made him uncomfortable. The affair, which Meek finally revealed, wasn't just a casual hookup or some rockstar lifestyle fling, but rather was rooted in manipulation power. Meek shared in court that the relationship started turning into something far from professional. Diddy started pressuring him into situations that went beyond just business favors, control, and dynamics. The big question that everyone is asking after keeping this upsetting for so long is why Meek is coming forward now. Diddy knew exactly how to use Meek's desire for success as leverage to pull him into this twisted relationship. Once Meek was in, getting out wasn't easy. He described feeling trapped both professionally and personally. If he walked away from Diddy, he risked losing not just his mentor but his entire career. There were also emotional mind games. There are other things to consider here, including the possibility that the affair, which has been kept a secret for so long, may have been dropped at this particular tick during Diddy's federal trial. Meek was unable to contain his emotions any longer. Imagine carrying around such a heavy burden for years, knowing that you were duped by one of the most influential men in the business. Diddy may have felt this way because he is currently being charged with similar charges to Meek's. Was his chance to finally come clean. But there are also rumors that Meek's testimony is a part of a larger plot to bring Diddy down. The federal case against Diddy is strong, and the feds are doing everything they can to ensure that he doesn't get away with this by coming forward. Meek's story adds more detail to the already severe charges against Diddy because it demonstrates a pattern of manipulation that wasn't limited to women. It also applies to men. A variety of borders. The reason Meek's confession has blown this case wide open is that his involvement wasn't just about a business deal going wrong or a scandalous fling. Rather, it was about power, control, and manipulation on a level that goes way beyond what would have been expected of him. There has also been speculation that Meek may have felt pressure to come forward, either from the feds or from people close to him who knew the truth. The latest development in Diddy's trial has completely turned the script, and the legal ramifications are enormous. Diddy's defense team is frantically trying to figure out how to handle Meek Mill's confession, which goes beyond the typical celebrity drama and now has his testimony in the public eye. Meek's bombshell wasn't just a surprise. It could seriously derail everything Diddy lawyers have been working on to protect Diddy. Diddy's legal team was attempting to portray the case as a misunderstanding or even a smear campaign, pushing the narrative that Diddy's wild parties and controversial behavior, while maybe appropriate, were consensual and blown out of proportion by people looking for a payday. However, Meek's testimony completely refutes that argument with his confession about the affair and the disturbing information that Diddy revealed. Let's first examine how Meek's confession directly impacts Diddy's defense. Because of the nature of the connection, there is a whole new manufacturing element that is difficult to brush off as just improper conduct in court. Diddy's legal team is now facing allegations that he systematically controlled and manipulated people, including Meek, using his power and influence. This completely shifts the focus of the defense, as Meek paints a picture of not just a fling but a toxic power-driven relationship in which he feels trapped and manipulated by Diddy. Influence to do so. And Meek's admission may also reinforce the veracity of additional victims' testimonies, particularly if they describe comparable patterns of coercion and manipulation. Means Diddy's defense cannot continue to argue that these people are enraged at the entertainment industry for allowing this type of behavior to go unchecked for so long. Not just at Diddy. The #Delete campaign led by Diddy is gathering momentum, calling for the boycott of his music goods and everything related to his brand. Celebrities have also begun to comment, with some hesitantly endorsing Meek, while other people stay mute, maybe waiting to see how things work out before choosing assistance. Diddy is undoubtedly under serious public pressure, and the circumstances will only get worse. Every step he takes is being scrutinized by the media frenzy as more information becomes.
Bad Boy weekend in the Hamptons. It was Bad Boy and Rockefeller weekend in the Hamptons. You understand? It was, I remember Stacey Dash and Aaliyah, they was on Rockefeller team, you understand? And Bad Boy had their artists and stuff like that, and they were all playing softball up there in the Hamptons. And later on, Puff gave a white party, you know.
The connection implies that Meek was a willing participant and that everything that occurred between them was consensual, even if it wasn't acceptable. But given Meek's celebrity and public standing, this argument will be difficult to make at this point. Following Meek's revelation, social media blew up on Twitter and Instagram. Whatever the TikTok, people were talking about it. It shocked and enraged fans that such a connection could have occurred behind the scenes. Charges are unique instances. If the video that everyone is talking about turns out to substantiate Meek's accusations, Diddy's team will have an even harder time attempting to spin the story. Meek's testimony connects everything together and demonstrates that Diddy's behavior wasn't random. Story that works to their benefit naturally. Diddy's defense won't give up easily. They may try to claim that Meek is fabricating or exaggerating portions of his account in an effort to distance himself from the scandal or avoid appearing to be complicit in the behavior he saw. They may also attempt to paint Meek's testimony as an effort to jump on the bandwagon and save his own reputation by discrediting Diddy. Available. And that type of attention has the potential to affect the judicial process, even if only somewhat. After all, jurors and judges are humans too, and they are not immune to the public outcry around this case. The fallout for both Meek Mill and Diddy. As we all know, Meek Mill has been working hard to improve his public image over the past few years following his widely reported legal battles, which included the Free Meek movement. However, things are about to get much worse for him, because it's a risky game. Because once someone speaks up, it becomes easier for others to follow suit. And before you know it, the entire house of cards falls apart. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments section below.